Hey, what's up, everybody? Once again. So, we are now going to be talking about human trafficking. And since that is one of the things that people are bringing up, that is a possibility of what's going on with Felicia. I just kind of wanted to talk about it so people could understand exactly what human trafficking is and the different forms of human trafficking, how you can spot human traffickers. And I'm also going to play the press conference again because I received some emails like, well, it was like, can hear it, not hear it, whatever. It's 14 minutes. We're going to hear that. I will be giving my commentary throughout the press conference. This is going to be a video about human trafficking, but I do still want to keep the awareness out for this young lady because we should not be losing our women like this. And it's sad that it took so much time for the police to hop on this. They should, I understand she's an adult. And with that being said, that's kind of why it's harder to say, hey, this is a missing person, because an adult can go missing. And so I don't know if that's what they were told on the reason why they weren't jumping up and looking into it. But I feel like those rules really need to be changed, because if they would take a concerned parent's comments, I mean, you got to vet them too, because some people are just hypochondriacs. But if this person is like, look, this never happens, she's never run away, there's no reason for her to want to be away from her family, why are we taking 10 years to go retrieve footage of what could possibly save this young lady's life, because she's an adult and she should be able to do what she wants to do? Oh. Same thing with the Amber Alerts. If there's no car, we can't. Well, can we make something else? Instead of an Amber Alert, can there be something else for us to start looking for children immediately? If you have a description of any type, any kind, a picture, I don't think it should have to be, we know what car it is. And yes, an adult can go missing. But do we want to wait for a situation like this to then now go looking? I wouldn't, not as a parent. So it's anytime, I don't know why this keeps happening. Okay, here it goes. No, it didn't do it to me. So we're gonna look at that first, and then we're gonna hop right into I'm gonna explain to you different types of human trafficking, and then we're gonna listen to some audio of other experiences with human trafficking so we can get an understanding of what's all going on here. So what I'm going to do first is see who's all in the chat as usual, and let you guys know from last live who got tickets. So we didn't do a panel. Christina has 2 tickets. She was the only mod in the chat. And so for the 2 tickets from last time, the first 5, the first 2, because first person in the chat was South National. Then we have Oscar, Christina, Michael, and Behind the Bar. So I will be placing you guys into the raffle. I think I'm gonna pick those on the same day as the $100 one to make it easy. So let's see who's all in here. We got Oscar. We got Jeanette in the building. Hey. We've got Michael. Hey, Michael. Yes, y'all, hit that like button. Let's get this information out there. Let's get this young lady found. I'm going to keep everything possible. I said possible. I'm going to keep everything positive to just feel like, yes, she's out there somewhere. Just to keep hope alive, because there's a possibility that she is still with us. And I just want to keep that hope alive. Hey, Belle, how are you? Belle in the building. So we're going to get straight over to that, because I was unsure if I could play the video, and some people are like, I can't see. So I'm going to play that full out for you guys. And I will be giving my commentary, like I said, throughout the video. So here we are. So if you guys ever feel like you guys need to tell me anything or something you want to know more about, if it's multiple people asking for it, I will put it on a live, or I can just send you guys the links. But I was getting questions about what did they exactly say about the cell phone? Who was the other young lady in the video? From my understanding, I can be wrong, but from my understanding, the Hispanic lady in the video was someone that worked in the industry. So we're going to look at all that now so we can get a clarification.
Here, stayed for a minute, for a little while. She called the Uber. Uber was taking too long. So a gentleman here at the club offered to give her a ride to where she needed to go. Felicia has not been seen since. No cell phone activity, no credit card activity, no social media activity. She has absolutely just vanished off the face of the earth. The family was able.
Okay, so that has been my question from the very beginning. Who gave them the information that she was waiting too long for the Uber, and that's why she decided to go with this gentleman from the club? Where did that information come from? I'm curious of, did a bouncer tell them that? Did the manager tell them that? Like, did they talk to her and say, she said, hey, it's taken too long? And like, who gave them this information that the Uber took too long? And that's why she made the decision to leave with this person.
To get the last ping of the location of where she was with the cell phone. That cell phone was found discarded on the side of the road at Bear Creek Park. On the side of the road right there at Bear Creek Park. And the phone was covered in blood. We believe that she is the...
See, that's the understanding I want to get here. Was the phone covered in blood? Did the phone have a speck of blood? How much blood are we talking about? Because I believe in this, when the dad speaks, he gives a different picture of what this cell phone looks like. So let's take a note of that. Q says covered. Okay, and this is just us looking at it from the outside in, because the police aren't going to give us any information at all whatsoever. So let's go ahead.
The victim of foul play. We believe that she's being held against her will. We believe that she, hopefully by God's grace, is still alive. But we want whoever's holding her to know that we will not rest. We will not stop looking. We will continue looking for her, and we will continue hunting you. No matter what takes place, we will continue hunting you, and we will not forget Felicia. We believe this young woman is the victim of foul play. She's been kidnapped, and that she's being held against her will. And law enforcement needs to do a better job of taking this case a lot more serious than they have. Once we found that cell phone covered in blood, law enforcement still took their time getting involved with the family. And then we were able to speak with law enforcement, myself in particular. Then they began to make some moves and get busy. But still, we believe had they responded quicker, more could have been done by just coming to this nightclub and getting the surveillance footage of who she got into the car with, getting surveillance footage of who the gentleman was inside the club, we understand that there's cameras on the inside also as well as the outside. And so they have footage of who this gentleman was and what car he was driving. I spoke with their lawyer yesterday. He said he would do all he can to help law enforcement with his video footage. We know law enforcement finally came to the nightclub yesterday to retrieve this footage just yesterday. And they just received the cell phone back from the family that they discovered with the blood on the phone. And clearly the picture of the phone showed it's blood on it. And they finally took it, and now they're processing it. But we want Felicia to know the community is looking for you.
Most
We're turning
definitely.
over every stone. We'll leave no door locked or unopened until we find where you are. Whoever has her, please release her. If you have her, let her go. It's not worth your life for spending the rest of your life behind bars.
I feel what he's saying. It's not worth to spend the rest of your life behind bars, especially if she's still alive. I'm pretty sure there can be other things to make a solution to this situation now. They found the phone with blood, and they ain't tell the family whose blood was it. I'm kind of unsure about that. What it sounds like to me is what Cornell is saying, that the family found the phone with blood on it and tried to hand it over to the police department. And at first they didn't want it. Now what it sounds like is that they do have the phone. And he's saying, hey, there is clearly blood. Even if the police gets whose blood is on this phone, they are not going to go say, hey, Cornell, this is whose blood it is. Hey, family, this is whose blood it is. They're not going to do that. That is going to jeopardize this case. And I hope, just like me, I hope everybody else wants this to be looked at under a microscope and to do anything possible to save the integrity of this case. Because if they start speaking out and they find this person, there's so many ways that they can, make this case not stick by speaking. They're going to keep their lips sealed. I'm pretty sure, like I said before, whoever this is, being a VIP member and a regular, they know who it is and they are investigating it as this is getting more traction. So they're not going to go to Cornell. He's not law enforcement. They're not going to go to the family. Families tend to be, wrapped up in feelings, emotional. They tell them who the suspect is. They don't know if the family's going to go out and mess up everything they're doing. They may have surveillance on this person, and it's going to mess up everything that they're working hard to find. It's called patience, people. Gotta have patience. I know it's hard to say because I get antsy, but at the end of the day, that's just what it is.
Doing something stupid to this young lady. But we do not believe she left of her own free will. We believe she's the victim of foul play. This is her father. He has
Okay, so with that, saying we don't believe she left on her own free will, I don't agree with that. If they're saying the car that she got into, the guy that she left with him because the Uber was not there and it was taking a while for the Uber to get there. She got into that car willingly, if that's the case. Now, if he's saying unwillingly, that means this guy snatched her up, manhandled her, put her in the car, and that's how he took her. Otherwise, she willingly got into this car. And we don't know what happened after that.
The message for his daughter.
Felicia, we miss you. All the families, you're in all of our prayers. I'm trying to hold myself together and stay strong for the family and for you. And I won't rest for a day in my life until I have you back.
Okay.
It's a tragedy that you've been caught up in this net of whatever they got going on out here. But we working very, very hard to get you back. And I love you. Everybody in the family love you. And I just wanted to let you know, just stay strong and we're coming for you.
We're all out here rooting for her to come back. We all out here love you. So if you are out there and you're in a situation where people are watching and looking what people are talking about online in the news media, I want to let you know there's so many people out here looking for you. So just stay strong through whatever you're going through. And if you're no longer here with us, we'll wait till that comes. That's what I'll say for now, because don't want to think that way.
If anyone has any information, please reach out to our organization, Crime Stoppers, HPD. Please do something to help us find Felicia. Texas Exploitation did get on board as of this morning. They're currently at Bear Creek Park right now, searching where the cell phone was found for any possible leads or evidence to where Felicia may be. But we absolutely believe.
One thing I wonder is what identifying factors with this phone. Was her picture on there? Was, what made them know for sure this was her phone? I'm sure the father would know what phone it was. I believe, I could be wrong, that he lives in San Diego. She lives in San Diego as well. So maybe he knows exactly what's on her phone. But I would want to know what those identifying factors are.
She's the victim of foul play. HPD has to take these cases more serious.
Yes, they do.
This is the fourth one I've dealt with in 6 months.
4 in 6 months. 4 in 6 months. And I'm sure he's not getting every single case, but that's still a lot. 4 in 6 months.
Of a missing African-American female. And in every one of those cases of a missing African-American female, HPD dragged its feet. And they did not do anything until I began to go public and demand that they get involved and do something. So we need HPD to take the cases of missing young Black women seriously.
And I think that's where Quanell does come in as a positive towards the situation. They know he's going to bring the funk, he's going to bring the controversy. So once he starts speaking about it, yeah, they may jump and hop on it. But in this case right here, needing a private investigator, I just feel at this point, we're jumping the gun. I don't see that necessary at this point.
Like they take the cases of missing young white females. We need that same level of attention and priority like you give the young white females and you give the young Black females. We want equality from HPD in how you deal with these missing person cases. Because it seems like when young Black females go missing in this city, it's not a priority.
Right.
We can't tolerate that. We cannot accept that. So we know that she's a victim of foul play. We need help in finding her. We don't know where she is right now, but we're going to work like hell to try to find her. So we have investigators involved, people on the ground, Exploitation involved. Hopefully we can get a lead to where she is. We'll take your questions.
What day specifically was she last seen?
It's been 5 days ago now.
That would be Saturday morning. Saturday morning at this establishment right here, about 2 in the morning.
Okay, so he says about 2 in the morning. Like I said earlier, when we did not watch this, he said 2 in the morning. So my thinking on this is, if it was 2 in the morning the last time she was seen there, normally the club closes at 2 a.m. There's some places where it closes at 4 a.m. Because this man, it have been, hey, time to go, last call for alcohol. On his way out, he's seen her come in trying to get a job. He's eyeing her. Okay, they sent her out. Okay, well, let me go with her, because if she's trying to get a job here, maybe she needs a little bit of extra money. Maybe I can, maybe he overheard the conversation of her saying, hey, I'm from out of town. I want to see if I can work, that whole spiel. He knows she's in a hotel now. He's seen it before. He's a regular. He knows. So he's like, hey, I'll give you rides to your hotel. You don't got to wait for that Uber, making her feel all comfortable. Like I said, could have been having a conversation with her inside of the club. and made her feel that comfortable with leaving with him. And now here we are today. So if it was at 2 a.m., could he have been getting dances, getting VIPs, was not fully happy with his whole situation, needed some more loving, and was like, hey, you know, I'll take you to your place. You're trying to make some extra money. Do you want to dance for me? Something so innocent like that, saying, do you want to dance for me? Not even saying, do you want to take it further? And she felt comfortable with it and trusted this man and got into his vehicle. And that to me would have been her biggest mistake, by even letting him know any hotel information. They need to go back to that hotel, look into that. Yes, they're looking at the location of the phone, but they do need to go to that hotel, see if they even made it there. I'm sure there are cameras that can track that car's movements to see where it went after they left the club.
If you shop on Amazon, you should use this tool.
Oops.
And then we were able to speak with law enforcement.
Hold on.
Please release her.
Sorry,
I
guys.
love you, everybody in the family.
Leads and evidence. Get on board as of this morning. If anyone has any information,
We'll start from here.
please
Sorry, I
reach
clicked
out
the button to go over.
to our organization, Crime Stoppers, HPD. Please do something to help us find Felicia. Texas Exert did get on board as of this morning. They are currently at Bear Creek Park right now, searching where the cell phone was found for any possible leads or evidence to where Felicia may be. But we absolutely believe she's the victim of foul play. HPD has to take these cases more serious. This is the fourth one I've dealt with in 6 months of a missing African-American female. And in every one of those cases of a missing African-American female, HPD dragged its feet, and they did not do anything until I began to go public and demand that they get involved and do something. So we need HPD to take the cases of missing young black women seriously, like they take the cases of missing young white females. We need that same level of attention and priority, like you give the young white females, then you give them young black females. We want equality from HPD and how you deal with these missing person cases, because it seems like when young black females go missing in this city, it's not a priority. We can't tolerate that. We cannot accept that. So we know that she's a victim of foul play. We need help in finding her. We don't know where she is right now, but we're going to work like hell to try to find her. So we have investigators involved, people on the ground, Exploitation involved. Hopefully we can get a lead to where she is. We'll take your questions.
What day specifically was she last seen?
It's been 5 days ago
That
now.
would be Saturday morning. Saturday morning, and this is Stoppage right here about 2 in the morning. 30. Yes, sir.
Last few days.
He's traveling in from California. He's here from California.
What have these last days been like for you and your family?
I can't put it into words. I'm trying to hold myself together and not just break down. And I don't know where my baby is or what's being done to her. And I can't put it into words, but it's like anguish.
Yep.
Just, I don't know.
This is the last place that she was seen.
This is the last place she was seen right here. Getting into a car with some gentlemen. And we haven't seen her since. The phone was found on the side of the freeway, about 6 feet off the freeway.
I wish we could know a little bit more about the guy that they seen. I wonder if the father was able to see who she got into the car with, or Cornell was able to see who she got in the car with before the police got a hold of the tapes. I wonder if they were able to see any of that.
In the grass.
And I have to be honest, the club has not been cooperative.
They're not going to
They
be.
just don't be cooperative.
They're not
They
going to
heard
be.
I was going to hold a press conference.
Listen, all of these clubs are connected. They are not going to cooperate with anything like this that's going to give them a bad rap or anything like that. They know law enforcement is now involved. They know we can be reliable for anything. They're not going to be involved. They're not going to talk to. That's why they said, we don't talk to anybody on the phone. They talk to people over the phone, but they don't want to talk to you guys over the phone because they know that is going to look bad on them, anything that's happening. So I think the news should try to go get an in-person interview with the manager on duty that day, or try to speak to the bartender that was on duty that day, or anybody in the establishment that day that they can speak to, because they're going to try any and everything to get out of this.
They would not cooperate with us or the family until we threaten to go public. What they also don't know is when we send in the investigator who's Hispanic, who looks white, they were speaking and he was recording the conversation. And we have them on tape in this club, the management, saying that we were not going to give her a job anyway. We don't hire black girls.
Boom. Like I said earlier, that is how it goes. We're not going to give her a job anyway. I don't care if she was Beyonce. When they have their mind made up, I don't want to use the derogatory word that they do say in these clubs, but I've heard it more than once. We don't hire those. And it's not just the regular words y'all thinking of with it. No, they have a whole slang of what they call black girls going into a club like this. And so seeing that she's gorgeous and beautiful, I don't see why she would have had a problem getting into this club. Obviously, someone thought she was attractive in your club to come out of your club and leave with her. Guys have different preferences. So to not give her the job just based off, okay, we already knew he wasn't going to give it to her. That's...
We don't let black girls work here. So she already walked into a place that didn't care nothing for her and did not even want her presence to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see why, based on what I heard on that tape, out of their own mouths, that they don't give a damn what happened to that sister. But we do. And this very young woman right here was trafficked out of that same nightclub.
Let's listen.
And so she knows the history of these owners and how they treat young women. But this is a problem. We need to find these young women. We need to.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
What's the latest HPD? Where are they out?
We don't know.
They're supposed to be here right now, but they're not here. They're supposed to be a part of this
They said
whole
they
thing, and
said
they're
they
not
want to
here.
come and join us.
The
They're
chief
not
of
here.
police, he absolutely didn't make it.
So they did come and get surveillance video and everything like that?
Yesterday, yes. Finally.
Too much time for you to tamper with.
Monday.
Hold on here.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Listen up,
I
y'all.
was trafficked through these chains of nightclubs from the owners of these nightclubs for over a decade, where I was sexually exploited, extorted to be rehired whenever I was fired because I was discriminated on, and put in dangerous positions time after time, day after day, week after week, and not paid for the hours that I was in those clubs as an employer. There's a lot of horrible things that happen in the chain of the Cover Girls organization. And
it's not only just Cover Girls. This goes on all across America, all across the world. Even women in the club that are waitresses don't even have licenses in some states that you need a license to work. The managers will tell them, okay, yes, we'll allow you to give dances in the back, or we'll allow you to do this as long as we get a little cut. And certain managers will have, like, say, hey, you give me $100, you can work whenever somebody wants to come in and with no license, no nothing, not even supposed to be, not hired to do that at all. So a lot of that does go on. I believe every word this woman is saying because you see it so many times. There are managers that have girls that they personally deal with. So say you got celebrities coming into the club. They know, oh, I'm going to get this person, and this person. And there are girls where they tell you better do anything they ask you to do. If you don't do it, we will fire you and you will not get a job back here again. And we won't have for what you make. That's just how it goes in these establishments when you have women that will take the treatment, they're going to do it. So, listen.
HE Houston Incorporated and the owners of these clubs, I really hope that they didn't alter any of the surveillance in the amount of time that should have been confiscated by police immediately within the first 48 hours. But it's hard. Felicia, you have a community out there that cares about you.
Yeah.
Your skin color should not be the reason why there's lack of support in our community and law enforcement to help find you. You have to be found, and we're praying that you're found alive.
And honestly, it's not even her skin color. It is where she was, the job she was going to look for. You are looked at as the gum on the bottom of somebody's shoe. You are looked at as the gum underneath a library table. They wouldn't even scrape you off if it was the last thing they could do to just make something be good out of it. No, they do not care about you because now, oh, you were going to a gentleman's club. You're considered nothing to people on the outside looking in. And I'm happy that she has a father that is like, hey, you're young, you're going to make these decisions, and is open to something that he cannot change. She's an adult and is still there standing by her side. So I really do give it to her father.
And to the traffickers that might have enabled, or sex buyers that might have enabled the wrongdoing and foul play behind her, I really hope that you just release her. Or give us any hope, any information that can give her the whereabouts to where she is.
Any more questions?
Just your first and last name, how do you spell it? Angela Williams, Angela Williams, Williams.
1LX.
This vehicle.
Kevin Johnson, KEVIN JOHNSON.
Just so people can appreciate personalized story. Can you talk about her?
She's a beautiful, loving person, just like my mom. Rest in peace. She's like her twin. Very good heart. Will give anybody the shirt off her back. Just a sweet person and an intelligent young lady. And I just very good with hair and makeup, like a model. It's like I don't see why anybody would want to hurt her. She's very, very sweet. She's my oldest daughter, and just the love of my life. And I just want her back.
What made her come?
She came out here just really to celebrate her birthday and to work to get some employment in the strip clubs. That's why she was here. We got some family in town. They live in all parts of the South, so she was just really out here just to celebrate and work. April 10th.
But it's really sad that HPD took 5 days to even come to this club and ask questions and attempt to retrieve the video footage, especially after we had already alerted them that we found a cell phone with blood all over it. We got pictures for you. Come take this cell phone. Maybe like a day.
We went the same day.
Well, yeah,
it was that same day. So we found the phone at 1:30 that afternoon.
So they found the phone at 1:30. They say that the last time she was seen was at 2 a.m. that Saturday. So they found it at 1:30 Sunday. Right? And they gave it to the police. The police still didn't go and look at anything for 5 days. So anything could have happened with these cameras. I'm telling y'all, I'm sure there's ways for the police to get it back. And I hope that they're on it if they didn't give them full videos, or if there's glitches in it, or it skips, or this is on a time thing to where it only records if somebody walks by, is motion censored, all these little things they come up with. I just pray that they got everything. I have a feeling that they do, though. It's a matter of time.
Well, like within 12 hours, we took them on the phone and they refused it.
And that's the part I want to talk about.
What if it was their daughter?
When they told law enforcement, HPD, that they knew something bad had happened to her, they took the phone and said, "Look, we found the phone. Here's the pictures. It's got blood on it. Look at the phone. There's blood on it." They said, "We don't want it." They said, "We don't want it." They still did not take the case as a priority, and that's a damn shame. But this is the 4th young black female in less than 6 months I've dealt with like this in Houston who've been missing. 3 of the young girls have been found dead. And I hope we have a better outcome in this case.
Right. We're going to pray for that. So out of the 4, he said, 3 have been found dead. I hope that's not what's going to go on in this case. I got to be realistic, but there's hope. And I just pray that whoever you are out there, I know it may seem like everything is coming down on you right now and you feel like it's the end, but it does not have to be. And if you come out now and return her over safely, no matter what has been done already, but she's still breathing and alive, please just give her over. It is better than getting a murder charge. I'm telling you. And if anybody has information out there, please go ahead and call the numbers that are going to be, that are already listed in the description box.
It's by God's grace. But every case, HPD drags their feet in how they handle the missing person cases of young black women.
Yep.
That has to change.
I can say that.
Any more questions? So if you want to go by Bear Creek where they're searching now, you're more than welcome to do that. Thank you for your assistance. Thank you for your help. They're out there, so I don't know. They're all over the place. Right. But it's Texas Equal Search.
Okay. I'm going to end that there. And you said, isn't there a waiting period for a missing persons? It used to be, I believe, 48 to 72 hours for an adult, but it just depends on the circumstances. And now, I don't know how it is everywhere, but in California, it just depends on the circumstances. They can go out and look right away. Especially if you're like, hey, I want a welfare check. My daughter's supposed to be at this hotel. She's not there. She hasn't answered. I want a welfare check. They should at least go and check out the area. And I don't know who those people are. Yeah. If there's evidence of foul play, like the cell phone and all that, and that if the cell phone was found at 1:30 p.m. the next day, all that doesn't matter about a waiting period. So let me remove this. Now let's go on and let's talk about this human trafficking situation. Oops, wrong button. Here we go. All right, so let me switch this so you guys can see it better. So this is what human trafficking is. Human trafficking is a form of modern day slavery that is rapidly expanding in the United States and throughout the world. It is a crime under both the United States and the international laws. The child and adult victims of human trafficking are denied their basic human rights and subject to unspeakable physical and emotional harm. Traffickers exert complete control over their victims and are proficient at hiding their conditions of authority. My glasses, I think these are my old ones. Of authority. Healthcare practitioners may be the only professionals who come into contact with victims if they present for medical care. This article will be describing. Okay, I don't need to read that part. I need to clean my glasses though, because trying to see this on y'all's screen smaller than it is on my screen is not gonna work for me. Let me go to the next one. So on what gave me the idea to even speak about this is that the family is thinking that it can be, oh, these are my old ones, that it can be possibly human trafficking, which I don't feel like is the situation, but I wanted to speak about exactly what it is. And so here is what is on the website of Fox 26. And if you guys seen the video from earlier, they were talking about this and, saying, hey, go check it out. So let me bring it up for you guys here. Recognizing the signs of human trafficking. Oh my God, it's so small in this little box. This little, what's it called? StreamYard box. Okay, so common work and living conditions. The individuals in question is not free to leave or come at their will. Is under 18. You don't have to be under 18. And is providing commercial sex acts. Is in the commercial sex industry and has a pimp or manager. Is unpaid or paid very little or paid through tips. Whoa, that would be a lot of different things. Works excessively long hours and unusual hours. Sorry. Is not allowed breaks or suffers under unusual restrictions at work, owes a large debt and is unable to pay it off. That's what they tend to do. They tend to make these outlandish amounts that you need to pay back, and you got this debt. You got to pay this debt off. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you owe these thousands of dollars, you're really only, and you have to give them what? Some cases 50%, some cases way more than that of whatever you make. They make it so it's just impossible to meet whatever goal they want so that they can keep you underneath their control as long as possible. I'm unsure of why they made it be the age of, what is it called? The age of 18. You have to be under the age of 18. No, because you can be trafficked from the age of 0 to 99. There is no age that is different. Oh, Oscar, you said you could read it clearly. Like, you want to come read it? Let's get back to it. Which one did I leave on? Okay, I put some stuff on these glasses, but they still are so scratched up badly. Okay, so owes a large debt and is unable to pay it off. I didn't want to put my whole body over the computer because the cleaner is back there, but they're still so messed up. The next one was recruited through false promises, considering the nature and conditions of his or her work. High security measures exist in the work and or living locations. is living and working on site. Some of these things I'm not fully sure if they're true, because you don't have to be living and working on the site. They have some of these traffickers to where they have them at a whole nother house, and they bring whoever is working or they're looking for at that time. So some of these things, I don't know. Experiences verbal or physical abuse by their supervisor, is not given proper safety equipment, is not paid directly, is forced to meet daily quotas. Poor mental health or abnormal behavior, the individuals in question is fearful, anxious, depressed, submissive, tense, or nervous, or paranoid. Exhibits unusual, fearful, or anxious behavior after bringing up law enforcement or immigration officials. The reason why they put the immigration officials, because a lot of women that are in these trafficking places are afraid to be deported. They got here and needed work and are trying to do anything to stay in America. And these traffickers know that. So that is what they're going to use against you. They can use your children against you. They can use your family against you. Anything they know that is close to you, they will use against you. Let's see. Poor physical health. Show signs of poor hygiene, malnourishment, and or fatigue. Show signs of physical and or sexual abuse, physical restraint, confinement, or torture. Lack of control. Has few or personal possessions, is frequently monitored, is not in control of their own money, financial records, or bank accounts. Like you hear in that story about Nature Boy. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys, it's littles. Where we at? Oh, like I was saying, like the whole Nature Boy situation, how she said he took everything of my identity, my passport, my social security. He took my phone. He took any and everything I could use to have me have my own identity to get away from this situation. They try to strip you of everything, bank accounts, any and everything they can. And that's the next thing that it says. Financial records or bank accounts. Is not in control of their own identification documents, ID, or passport, is not allowed or able to speak for themselves. A third party may insist on being present. Yes, you cannot speak to your family members most of the time. And if you do, either your abuser is right there, your trafficker is right there to make sure you are doing and saying what you need to say. Okay, I don't know what this is. Claims of just visiting and inability to clear where they are staying at or address. So they're always just like, oh, I'm visiting here, and I'll be here for this little bit of time, and they never could tell you where they live, because normally the traffickers are moving them from place to place. They don't stay in one place too long, afraid of being caught by the cops. Lack of knowledge of whereabouts. So in the situation where I believe they were in, was it Honduras? Costa Rica? It's somewhere like that. And they don't know exactly their location. They were taken there, and they're that's why a lot of the times they don't let you see where you're going. You'll be blindfolded. You have to lay down in the back of a car or something like that in order to get to the location they're taking you to, so that you can't be able to reach out for help and tell people where you are. Appears to have lost sense of time, Share scripted, confusing, or inconsistent stories, just lies after lies, whatever they're fed to tell you. Protects the person who may be hurting them or minimize the abuse. And that's all the time. Oh no, he loves me. We just got into it. I was the one acting up, constantly putting the blame on them for the things that are being done, but that's never okay. Never okay. So you can see all of this on Fox 26. Make sure that's in there. I'll put that in the description box as well too, and you can read the rest of that. Let me bring this screen up for you guys as well. Let me stop sharing that screen. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Let me bring this screen up. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, and then I want you guys to listen up to a few things. What is human trafficking? Share. So I'm going to go to the comments before. I don't want to get too behind on these comments. Let's see where we are. Hey, Crystal, I seen you in the building. So that's where I stopped. Okay, let's see. Secret says, in fact, about the 5 Houston Black women have been gone missing. The last 6 months means that HPD should move faster. I'm telling you, Secret. But when they're talking about Black women, it always seems to amaze me. And do not come at me for saying this. It's just in all honesty. When we're talking about a Gabby Petito, okay, that ran like wildfire. We're talking about Felicia. It takes you 5 days from the day she went missing, the 15th. That you guys should have already jumped on that if they're saying we can't have no contact with her, nothing like that. And not even within 24 hours, they find the cell phone on the road with either covered in blood or a little bit of blood, whatever. That should have been the reason why they started that same day that they took the phone to them. Why are we waiting to go retrieve the video? Why are we waiting to go see who was in the club, who she left with? That's dragging your feet. And that's why we are where we are today, is because you don't hop on that. You find out about Gabby. We got videos from what happened in the beginning of their trip to continue to look. This is worldwide now. But with this, we're going to twiddle our thumbs and, maybe she wanted to go missing. Maybe she left with the guy and he took her out of town. And that could still be a possibility. But why would you find the phone on the road? It could be a possibility that she's no longer in the States and was taken somewhere else. But that's more of a reason why it should have been jumped on in the beginning. And I am glad that the FBI is in on this as quickly. That's what I can say is a positive. It's not just Houston clubs. We're not going to put it just on Houston. It's these clubs in general. They don't. Women are disposable. We're looked at as paper towels. You need it when you need it because you really need to get your hands dried. You use it. You're done with it now. You toss it out. It just is what it is. That's how you're treated. The guys covering their faces are members of the Black Panther. So that is exactly what it is. They are members of the Black Panther group. Let's see. This has all the signs of serial killer. I don't feel like it's a serial killer. This is just my opinion, though. I don't feel like this is a serial killer situation at all. I feel like it's a crime of opportunity. I feel like this guy was fascinated. Maybe he does go to this club to see this Hispanic girl, but he sees this beautiful Nubian queen walk in. She don't get the job. He like, wait, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. I can't deny it. She's gorgeous. He's like, I think it was a crime of opportunity. And I don't know if you can call that a crime of passion as well. Like, he just was so infatuated. I don't know. I ain't going to put that with that, but I'm saying a crime of opportunity, or, mistaken, just for the simple fact that it's never a mistake to take someone's life or to abuse someone, but it's just these men, and I don't want to say all the men that go to these establishments, but a lot of them have a lot of issues. Like I was talking about the other night, the crazy, what is it called? Fantasies or desires these guys have. I do want to make like a separate channel, like I so do, to even talk about the experiences I've had with men and just the crazy things they come up with. I don't know. Let's see. Michael says, I'm from New York and Kentucky and Tennessee. I've been to multiple strip clubs. They don't treat women like that. Keep women well fed for some customers. That's probably what you're seeing on the outside. But I have friends that have worked in New York, and yeah, there are some clubs where you got managers that are super chill and cool with you and da-da-da. That's the whole reason why I went to Houston, was because my manager at Strip Hop was like, hey, you need to come to Houston for All-Star Weekend. Like, I got you. But when I went and seen the club, I was like, yo, like, this ain't my cup of tea. Like, I'm more like, hey. And it's just like, twerk, twerk, twerk. Like, it wasn't really my type of atmosphere. But you do get people that'll be like, that are cool, and will be like, hey, come here. I travel here, here, and there as managers in clubs, and they manage multiple clubs in different states. And you can get friendships like that and be able to make money. And a lot of them are just trying to get girls into their club and aren't really looking for nothing in extra. But some of them do try to extort these women. And that happens 9 times out of 10. You may get lucky to find someone that's not doing that. So you may think that on the outside, but what they're dealing with behind the scenes with these managers, I'm sure, is more than what they're telling you. I don't know what was being said. I just try to make it make sense to me. Let's see. Let me see what you're saying. Crazy. I mean, not crazy. Secret. I seen a word that said crazy and I said it. Pull up some information on how the owners of Cover Girls are connected to Houston District Attorney. Am I going to have to look into this? This might be a whole nother topic now. I'm going to have to do some more nosiness. Okay. And I'm not surprised at this either. A lot of these clubs, the owners, not even the managers, the owners have real close bonds with attorney generals, district attorneys, all kind of stuff, because they're always in, I'm going to look this person up. They're always in trouble for something, whether it's, letting a girl leave the club drunk, she get into an accident, whether it's a girl getting essayed in the club and they want to act like, oh, we didn't know what was going on, when literally the bouncers are coming by, seeing what's going on, hearing the girl screaming, asking for help, and they're just like, I'm gonna turn a blind eye. Guys, I've seen it all. These places are crazy, right? Hit my email. Let me put that in the bottom. I am gonna open the panel too. So we're gonna open up the panel. I still have some things I want you guys to hear. I did not want this live to really go over an hour, but I'm gonna make it max 2. And I'm gonna try to learn how to do the chapter thing to where you guys can jump and look at certain parts of this video. So there you go. So open panel, there's my email right there, Naomi China D. Every platform is Naomi China D on everything. So you got my email, my IG is like the fastest way to get to me, like even faster than texting me, is my IG, my Facebook, and my Cash App is down there too. Anyone that Cash apps me now, even if it's not May 1st, I'm still going to put you into the raffle. So every $5 you get 2 tickets to get $100. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on another live, but I'm just letting you guys know. Let's see. Some people don't even realize that they are being trafficked. Yes, because they think that they are simply being underpaid, paid under the table. Yes, and some girls don't even, that are really young or naive to the game, because I've even seen older girls that are naive to the game. Oh, no, that's my boyfriend. No, he's just holding my money for me. You know, he's helping me save so we can get an apartment and this and this and this and that. Later on down the line, I'm seeing the same girl come to work, black eyes, this and this and that. I have nothing. I have nowhere to go. Like, it gets to be a lot. A lot. Let me see. I don't think I did. Hold on. I'm going to drop the link in the chat while I'm reading these comments. So the link is in the chat. Feel free to pop up because we got some things to look at. They're not really, really long, but it's going to give you a more insight on the trafficking side of things. They get away with it making the trafficked person. Yep. A lot of times they make, say the girl or whatever wants to go to law enforcement. They make them believe that, oh, if you do that, oh, you're going to be the one to get in trouble, not me. Don't worry. We have people like you and other content creators who are spreading the, Yes, we getting it out there. We're going to do whatever we got to do because she needs to be found. She needs to be found. Period. I don't care what it is. Like, not only her, all these women that he's talking about needs to be found. They need to start taking all of our lives and making it be number one like anyone else. I just don't understand that. I'm 37 and I've never seen the police take a black woman's case seriously. And that's why when I was in situations I was in, I said something like the first couple times, and then it was just like, I just might as well take it and deal with it myself because you don't have help out there. Not even being in the dancer realm of it or being in the industry, just reporting abuse, period. They don't really look into it like that. They don't. They get away with it by making the traffic person think that I already did that one. Yes, this case is not about race, but low-key it is. But all right. Let's see. Honestly, I hate when they say black woman. What happens to white women that got killed again? I think what is being said more likely is when it is a Caucasian woman, they're more likely to jump on it. It took how many days? They said 5. I'm not going to keep bringing her name up, but you can only speak the truth about what you see. Let's see, but there are creeps in the clubs and most strip clubs. Be cool with off. Yep, they are, because a lot of officers actually go into these clubs and get free meals and things like that. So, I had a real close police officer friend, and He was super cool, very generous. He would like tell me like certain things that was going on with the club, or like, hey, don't come to work this day. We're doing a raid on this day. He would tell me, like, he was super cool. I could they felt to look at the choices of careers, cases above. Yeah. Yes, they are very correct. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the next video. Oh wait, I did want to say something else to you guys, didn't I? Let me see if this is it. Okay, so this is kind of the same thing as well. I'm going to put this link in the chat. So it's just basically saying a person who has been trafficked may show signs that their movements are controlled, have false they have false ID cards. And some of them are like super extra false to where the picture on it is not there. They have false documents so that they can travel and things like that. They don't know their home address or work address. They don't know anything about themselves. They keep everything so, vague. Everything's vague. They don't tell you any information about them, as less as possible. No access to their earnings, being able to negotiate work conditions. And what I think that means is, like, say, because sometimes, some clubs are like, you can never do overcharging, but some guys will be like, okay, so how much do you charge for a lap dance? So say the lap dances are normally $20. The girl will be like, hey, well, my lap dances are $40 and you got to tip me or whatever. Certain situations if they have to pay somebody, they're like, look, nope, you need to tell them it's this price. There's no negotiating. I need this from that. And that's it is what it is. Work excessively long hours over long periods, have limited or no social interaction, have limited contact with their families or people outside of their immediate environment, think that they are bound by debt. So this one has a lot of information in it, and I do want to put this one. I'm going to put this on in the description box as well, because this one gives a lot of information. This one comes from the county of San Francisco. I think you can look at each one in your state, but it should kind of be across the board. So let me bring this video up. Wait, I want to put them in the order. Yes. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, so it is in order. I'm going to play the audio on this. So you guys are going to have to listen up. I am going to mute my side of it unless I need to say anything. So let's remove that and let's go ahead and take a listen to this. Before I do it, I am going to drop the link in the chat one more time. I think I pressed the wrong thing. Because I won't be able to do it throughout the video. I played 3 videos. They're not that long. And if I don't click you in right away, don't jump down. As soon as I get a chance to click you in, depending on what screen I'm in, I will pop you up on the panel. So let's stop sharing. Let's share this screen. There we go. Okay, how am I going to do this? I want to add it, but I don't want to. Hold on a second. Let me put up a banner so that I'll be able to plop the whole thing up here. Add to stream. All right, I'm going to play it for you guys. I'm going to see if there's a way for me to do it. I'm not going to show the screen. I will show the audio though.
When I say sex trafficking, and especially sex trafficking in Thailand, images like this might pop into your head. That's understandable. Research has shown that when we don't have firsthand experience with an issue, We craft our understandings based on media representations. But this is the Hollywood version.
I'm going to see if there's
The
a way for
reality
me
is
to do it
often
without showing
very
hooking.
different. By definition, trafficking means
I might have to
forced
do it like
work.
that.
A victim of sex trafficking is someone who is forced to work in the sex industry against his or her will. Sex trafficking happens in every country on earth, in both urban and rural areas. In fact, some people are misled by the word traffic to think that it must involve cross-border movement. But that's smuggling. A person could be trafficked in their hometown. It's also worth noting that boys can be trafficked too, in much the same way that girls can. But oftentimes, they're left out of the conversation. This is Oi and his younger brother. They grew up in a rural hill tribe village in northern Thailand, not far from the Myanmar border. These hill tribe communities are ethnic minorities in Thailand and highly discriminated against. Oi's mother died of a heroin overdose, and he and his younger siblings were left in the care of their stepfather. It's culturally common in this part of the world and many others for children to bear the financial obligation of caring for their families. Being the oldest child, Oi felt immense responsibility. There's also a great deal of migration in this part of the world, particularly people coming from Myanmar to Thailand, seeking a better life. However, just because a baby is born in Thailand, that baby is not guaranteed Thai citizenship. Oftentimes, it's dependent upon the citizenship of their parents. Oi was born in Thailand, but his parents are from Myanmar. Thus, Oi, as well as many other children and adults, lack citizenship in any country, a term that is called stateless. Without citizenship in Thailand, you can't go to public school, you can't access healthcare, and you can't move freely outside of your province. As a result, Oi's options for earning money were very limited. When he was 12 years old, he followed an older boy from his village to the northern Thailand city of Chiang Mai, seeking work. Oi grew up speaking a language unique to his village. He didn't know much Thai or English. So when he got to Chiang Mai, he started by trying to sell flowers to tourists in a night market, but he wasn't making much money. So he followed one of the other boys to a bar in hopes of making more money there. Just after nightfall, the bar, situated in the heart of Chiang Mai's red light district, filled with young boys just like Oi. It did not take him long to see what this job entailed. Oi eventually, extremely reluctantly, followed in the footsteps of the other boys. It started with drink orders and massages, but in order to make enough money to care for his younger siblings, it quickly turned into Oi having sex with foreign men. He dreaded every evening that he worked. He started drinking and taking drugs to numb himself, but he knew that he would never be able to make enough money working in a restaurant or selling souvenirs, so he continued on. He felt as if he had no choice. He still wasn't making enough money, so during this time, Oi made the decision to steal $80 from one of his customers. He was arrested and received a lengthy jail sentence, likely as a result of discrimination against members of these hill tribe communities. For stealing that $80, Oi spent 4 years in jail, and his customer walked completely free. Oi is a victim of sex trafficking, and his story represents the sober realities of this life. To be clear, though, not all sex work is trafficking. There are consenting prostitutes, and they deserve to have their rights respected. Some people willingly choose to work in the sex industry, but many do not, and that's where trafficking comes in. While every instance of sex trafficking is different, Oi's story is much more common in Thailand, among both men and women than are instances of people being kidnapped and chained to beds. Most victims of sex trafficking are physically free, but not psychologically free. On one hand, Oi is not chained to a bed. In theory, he can walk away from the situation at any time. However, if he does that, his family will not be able to afford to eat. His younger siblings will have to work, maybe in the sex industry. And because of the financial obligation, he'll likely bring immense shame to himself and his family. Is that really a choice that he can make? He has no choice. I'm fortunate to have been born into a middle-class family and raised in a nice suburb outside of Boulder. I have a great deal of privilege, and thus vast choices. When I started researching sex trafficking in 2008, I thought it meant that girls were kidnapped and chained to beds. But since then, my understanding of the issue and how best to stop it has evolved, and I want to take you on that journey with me. Many Western NGOs, staffed with well-intentioned folks like myself, have started working on anti-trafficking efforts around the world. Specifically in Thailand, some of these Western organizations have begun conducting what are called smart raids. They identify a facility, a bar, a brothel, a massage parlor, and they raid the facility. They remove the people that they believe were trafficked, and oftentimes they remove all of the sex workers in that facility. They then take them to a shelter. While this might sound like a noble effort, it's ineffective in addressing the broader social, political, and economic web of issues that creates such problems. At times, it even exacerbates the problem. It subjects these individuals to possible deportation and long involuntary stays in shelters. Many report feeling like they are in prison. And because it ignores the economic causes that resulted in this person working in the sex industry in the first place, it can mean that a younger sibling has to enter the sex industry to support the family. Additionally, the social system in place does not provide appropriate aftercare or rehabilitation. So many people end up back in the brothel with increased trauma and increased distrust of NGOs. But you can see where these well-meaning Westerners got the idea. Smart raids make sense for rescuing girls chained to beds. They don't make sense for addressing complex cycles of intergenerational poverty. They are merely a reactionary approach to a false notion of the problem, the Hollywood version. They are called smart raids, but I think they should really be called not smart at all raids. So what can we do? We can start by acknowledging the fact that trafficking is the result of complex social, political, and economic problems. But just because there's a lot of gray area, it doesn't mean there aren't concrete steps we can take to stop it. First, as Westerners, it's about time that we confront the issue of demand. As long as there is a demand, there will be a supply. We want the purchasers of this sex to look like greasy, creepy, back alley men that live in faraway places. But they're not. Many are clean-cut, well-dressed, successful Americans. They are our sons and brothers and neighbors and coworkers. Given the surreptitious nature of sex trafficking, we don't know the specific statistics about how prevalent Americans are in purchasing this sex, but by many estimates and my own observations, Americans account for the majority of sex purchased from trafficked individuals in Thailand. What are we doing in our society today to raise people to think that it's okay to go to Thailand or go down the block in their hometown and pay to have sex with a child? We have the choice to address this issue of demand head on by having difficult conversations with our loved ones about what our privileged actions are doing to those that have few choices. Additionally, we can leverage our privilege in other ways. We can advocate for policy changes that address the root causes of inequality, locally and globally. Labor laws, immigration laws, gender inequality, access to education and healthcare. We can funnel resources into programs that promote aftercare and rehabilitation for trafficking survivors. This is a recent picture of Oi. He was released from jail earlier this year. And with the help of a Chiang Mai-based anti-trafficking organization called Urban Light, he received health services, transitional housing, legal services, and language and employment skills. He now works full-time helping other boys get the resources that they need to have the choice to leave the bar. We can succeed in transforming the lives of sex trafficking victims at home and abroad, but we must first deal with the reality. While things like citizenship and statelessness and language skills don't make for as exciting of a documentary as a raid does, they have a lasting impact on breaking the cycle of poverty that causes trafficking. Ultimately, if we want to end sex trafficking, we need to rethink how we understand what it is. Let's cut through the Hollywood hype and leave these not smart at all raids behind. Let's expand our understanding of choice and move beyond raising awareness to truly tackle the core issues surrounding trafficking. I will leave you with the words of Dr. Wayne Dyer. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Okay, so that was her giving you guys more, and more depth of what another form of human trafficking is, because there's so many different forms of human trafficking and everybody puts it into one bubble. So that's one form that she was able to give you guys. Now, this is a video from ICE, and I believe I can show you guys this because it comes from the National Human Trafficking and Slavery Prevention, and it kind of gives you guys a rundown of multiple things. And I feel like we need to have these conversations on a regular basis and try to combat this at its source. I mean, we can only do it one person at a time, because to me, I don't know if it's just social media that's making it more prevalent. I know that it does go on, but it seems like maybe now that it's in my face, it's more than ever. I don't know if it's due to the pandemic. I don't know, but I know we need to make a difference, and we need to try to find a way to stop this or cut it down. I know we can't stop it completely, but to cut this down. Hey, news. We got news in the building. Oh, let's see what it says. 1.9 million women are currently being trafficked in the United States. And I believe that heavily, because it could be your friend next door. You don't even know. She looks like a happy couple. It's her and her friend, it's her and her dude. They got a roommate, but it's really not that situation. People could make it look a lot of different ways to you, and you never know what's really going on under their roof. So let me bring this up. This one has a couple of small videos. And like I said, this is for educational purposes only. I'm only playing these things so you guys, to spread awareness. So this is the site you guys can go to. But I did want to play these videos down here. All this is like good information. So this is a young lady that went through this. And these are like little short clips that I'm going to play for you guys. Okay, it's up there. Cool.
At first, it was just supposed to be like, oh, this is what we were doing to make money, because he wasn't making enough money to pay for his child support and everything. And after he started to like make me do it every night and stuff, I started to realize, but in my head, I drink, I do whatever drugs he had just to like clear my mind so I wouldn't think about it. Because at the time I felt like he was perfect to me. He was there and he'd tell me like, hey, your mom doesn't love you. No one loves you because they're not looking for you and they don't care where you sleep. And like, you live with me and I take care of you. What are you going to do without me? Because you can't get an apartment on your own. You can't get a hotel. It was basically like I needed him. And like I said, I felt that I loved him.
So with that, that's just giving you a little bit of the mindset of women in these situations and the stories they can concoct. Oh, my child support or this or that. They'll make up anything to get people into these situations. Let's hear the next clip.
My initial feeling after it was over was sort of a relief, but it was very painful. I felt a lot of pain. I didn't know who to trust, and I was just waiting for him to come back. I was thinking in my head, like, he's going to come back, nothing's going to happen. And then after, like, we got to the place and they started to interview me, it's like I felt like I just had to let it all out. Like, you just have to vent to someone and just tell them everything. I feel like people think that they deserve it because you fall in love with someone and they make you feel that way. They make you feel less of a woman, less of a person, less of everything when you've done so much that is ungodly, and you keep hearing those words repeated in your head. You're not nothing. No one will love you like I love you. You start to believe it and you start to become that person, and they take control over you. So you feel like you deserve it because they tell you. And I know for me, I felt like that because, like I said, I wasn't around my mom, I wasn't around my family, and I didn't grow up in a home where this would be something that's acceptable. When I first went home, I heard people talking under their breath saying prostitute and calling me dirty. And, that just, it makes it all so real that it was your fault. My family didn't see it as, oh, she's a victim. People see it like that. And so you really start to believe it, that it was your fault. I think to prevent trafficking, the main thing law enforcement can do is just be aware of the signs of when they see it, to help girls before they get to the point when they feel like he's everything to them. Because I know if someone would have talked to me before, when he first started to make me do it, when I thought it was wrong, it would have prevented a lot. It would have helped if someone would have noticed the signs. A lot of cops, they'll treat you like you're just a prostitute. They don't talk to you like you're a person. They don't realize that you're a victim. And if law enforcement, they take it into consideration that you are a person, that no matter what, how many men you've slept with or what you're out here doing, that there's a reason, and that it's not what you chose.
So those were clips of her documentary, and I really would like you guys to go and view the whole thing so you guys can get an understanding of, for those of you guys that are just so judgmental about young ladies that end up in this situation, go listen to some stories of why they are in the position they're in. Listen to a few, and if it still doesn't click, listen to a couple more, because no one is perfect, and a lot of these young ladies end up in situations like this because of not their own doing. Maybe their parent was homeless, their parent was on drugs, their parent was their abuser, their parent was with a man that allowed the child to get abused, vice versa. Let the woman abuse the child. There's so many different reasons why adult and children get into these lifestyles. Worldwide, 20 million victims of human trafficking generate illegal profits each year. It's $1 billion industry. That's why it will never be eradicated off this earth. No way, no how. It's been going on trillions of years before us, and it's going to continue to go on trillions of years after us. The sex game, the sex trafficking, the sex industry will always be here as long as we're here. Period. That it is what it is. Okay, let me pull this up for you guys real quick. Oh, I thought I had her up here, right here. Hold on. Share. This is, and after this video, I have one more, and we're gonna wrap it up. I will drop the link before this one, so you guys can. Is this it? I believe this is it right here. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I'm just doing this to bring awareness to these situations. It needs to be talked about. And if that's something I need to talk about, I will do it in order for us to get some awareness out there. So I will be putting up a banner because I do not want any problems. This is for educational purposes only, just for you guys to get an understanding of what's going on. All right. Here we go.
Victim testimony is about to begin. Inside a brightly lit Santa Barbara, California courtroom, seated at counsel table, is the prosecutor, the detective, the defense attorney, and the defendant. He's dressed in a...
So she's going to give you a visual of what's going on. And this is called The Face of Human Trafficking.
An orange jail suit, smugly waiting for the victim to be escorted into the courtroom. She was discovered some 10 days earlier in a local motel room on a Thursday morning in October of 2014. The police had found an advertisement of what appeared to be an underage girl advertised on the internet to anyone who was willing to purchase sex. So they went to this motel room on a main street in our city, situated between two upper middle class neighborhoods. And they contacted her. She was in the lobby. They showed her the picture and she said, "Yeah, that's me." And the pimp, he's up in room 208. And the police made chase and they got him and they arrested him. And here he was today in the courtroom. As the victim advocate for the district attorney's office, I escort the victim into the courtroom. She climbs up onto the witness stand. She settles in and she prepares to tell her story. Not just the story of how she had gotten here today, but she would tell her story about how she came into the life as a human trafficking victim. The prosecutor is trying to set this up for the court. It's a preliminary hearing, so the idea is to present enough evidence to believe that a felony was committed. And he knew this was not going to be a small thing to prove to the court that this was a felony. So he begins questioning her about the life. Miss Doe, can you explain to the court what it means to be in the life, in the game, like you explained to the police? Well, sure. Well, that's like when you're doing dates for money and there's rules and there's people in charge. And Miss Doe, when you say people in charge, who are you referring to? Well, like the bottom, like the bottom's in charge. The bottom, Miss Doe, can you explain to the court what the bottom is? Well, yeah, like the bottom bitch. She's the one that keeps the other girls in line in the stable. She sometimes posts the ads. She collects the money. I see. And is there more than one girl usually working? Well, sure, like there's usually more than one girl working for the pimp, like in the stable. Do you need me to break this down? I'm sorry, Miss Doe. The court needs to understand this. You all really should know this shit. And she was right. We should have known this shit, but we didn't. We didn't understand not only the terms and the words that describe human trafficking, but the faces of the people and the girls that were the victims of sex trafficking in our own community. And even working as a victim advocate in the district attorney's office for over 20 years and interacting with lots of different victims of crime, I didn't know that this was happening in our own backyard on a main street between two upper middle class neighborhoods next to a coffee shop that I frequented. And in fact, according to the US Department of Justice, some 300,000 kids in the United States are being sex trafficked on any given day. 300,000 kids. That is the size of Pittsburgh. And think for a minute what it felt like to be 12 or 13 years old. How impressionable we were. How much we wanted to be loved and accepted. Have people think we were pretty. Boys like us. Well, that's the average age that a child is recruited into sex trafficking. And yet, still, as I talk about this topic with people, there's still misconceptions that teenage girls may actually choose this, actually choose to sleep with multiple, have sex with multiple strangers in bleak motel rooms all over our country, in often very dangerous circumstances. Really? Do you really believe that teenagers choose this? As we came to understand this topic, one of the things that was new to us in this thinking was that the pimps actually knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly who to recruit and under what circumstances.
Oh, yes, they do.
And many of these girls actually looked like and acted like your regular teenage girl. In fact, one day I was walking down State Street here in Santa Barbara with my son, and we ran into Jane Doe. It was after the criminal trial.
You know what? It's crazy because, let me take this banner down. It's crazy because, yes, guys do have this, and they do go for the younger looking girl. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you look so young. They say I look way, people are telling me I look like 10 years younger than I am. They're being quite generous, but I'm just saying, they do go for younger looking women. And the younger, the better. Like she said, they have somebody that they actually target. And before, when I was China doll, everybody was like, oh, when I, as I got older and enjoying what I was doing, they just was like, no, that's where the China D comes from. Just be China, and I'm like, no, whatever. And they look for that young, innocent baby look, and it's sick. So once, I was getting more into all of this and making changes to myself, once I was doing all of that, my clientele changed because I no longer had that 14-year-old, 12-year-old body anymore. My whole clientele completely shifted. Still had, the regular people that I dealt with, but it shifted. And before that, I had some of the most creepiest encounters with guys and their fetishes and things they wanted to do and explore with and all kind of stuff. Imagining or thinking that I'm this little young virgin-minded baby girl. I mean, they know that you're not because you got to be 18. Some clubs, you kind of can sneak and be 16, or they don't even care if you're freaking 10 or 9. It's sick. But they prey on that. And once, my body went through changes and things like that, and like I said, I no longer looked like that 12-year-old, a lot of the creeps disappeared. It's crazy. So they do go for this. What she's saying is definitely true. They know how to pick them. They know exactly what they're doing. So let's continue.
We exchanged hugs. How are you doing? And we walked on. And my son said, Mom, who was that? I said, oh, honey, that's just a friend of mine from work. Oh. And we walked on. But Jane Doe, she had a story, and while unique in its own ways, it had variations on many, many other stories we would hear after. Her father was in and out of custody. He was a pimp as she was growing up. Her mother, when her father was in custody, prostituted herself occasionally to put food on the table. At 12 years old, she had her first unwanted sexual experience when a family friend raped her. She tried to tell somebody, but nobody really listened. And no report was made, and nothing was ever done. At some point in time, the foster care system got involved, and she was in and out of group homes and so forth. And so at age 13, when a pimp came along and tried to recruit her, she really couldn't think of anybody that could save her. Her parents weren't around. She couldn't think of anybody that could save her from it. So she said, you know, at some point I just came to accept that maybe this was just as good as it was going to get. That maybe all I was ever going to amount to was a prostitute. That the best I could hope for was to find a pimp that wouldn't hurt me, who wouldn't beat me, a Romeo pimp. And then she started to cycle down into a negative spiral. She became exhausted, and a miracle happened. She met a man on Facebook. They started talking. He said all the right things, told her how pretty she was, said, why don't you get out of this life? Come live with me. Come stay with my mother and I. My mother has cancer. You can come here. You can live with us. We'll be a family. And she did. She moved. She moved in with him and his mother, and soon enough, he started trafficking her. He was recruiting her right to her vulnerabilities. So here she was today in this courtroom testifying against the very person that she thought had saved her. She was conflicted. And the prosecutor, again, is still trying to paint this picture for the court. Miss Doe, can you explain to the court what it was like? What was the worst thing? Was it lack of food, lack of sleep, strange hotel rooms? What was it? Spirituality. Miss Doe, can you explain to the court what you mean when you say spirituality? Well, sure. I mean, like what I was doing for money. I mean, all my money was going in his pocket. All my energy was used up. I mean, I felt like shit. That's what I mean. I see, Miss Doe. And did you feel like you were a hostage, like you couldn't leave? Well, like I said, all my money was in his pocket. I didn't even know where I was. I did not know where I was. And plus, I had nowhere to go. I had nobody to call. Where was I going to go? He had all my money. You know, we tripped all over ourselves trying to keep her from going back into the life as a sex trafficking victim. And she said an interesting thing. She said, you know, listen, I want to get out of this work too, this life too. But what am I going to do? Go work at Starbucks? Work along other high school kids? I mean, I want to go to college. I want to become a writer someday. But people don't understand this. And I could run. You guys are, you know, making such a fuss, and I could run if I had $2 in my pocket. But I want something different, except, as I said, people don't understand how I got here and how hard it is to get out and how dangerous. And as a matter of fact, the average life expectancy of a sex trafficking victim, in her case, having been recruited at just 13 years old, is a mere 7 to 10 years.
13
years. So the likelihood that she'll
13
be
years
dead
old.
when
That's
she's
crazy.
20 is very high. Of homicide, suicide, addiction, overdose, or disease. These girls matter. They really do. Now, I don't stand here with all of the answers, but I do believe one thing very strongly that she said to us, and she taught us a lot. You know, if just one person would have believed in me, believed in how precious I was when I was that 12 or 13-year-old child, believed in my capacity, I don't believe I'd be standing here today. I don't believe I would have been a victim, and definitely not in this courtroom. So there are small things that we as individuals can do. Simply becoming a mentor to an at-risk child through a big brother, big sister program. Listening if a child says something's wrong, if they're acting out of sorts. Listening and empowering. And can't we all just think at that age, at 12 or 13, how maybe just one adult changed the whole trajectory of our lives? Or becoming a court-appointed special advocate. These are advocates who advocate for kids in the foster care system. There's an astounding 400,000 foster kids in our country whose parents can't care for them, and a critical shortage of trained foster parents that will take them in. So, as I said, I don't stand here with all of the answers, but I believe firmly in the humanity of these girls, our girls, and that humanity is the casualty of human trafficking.
So, yes, with all that being said, you there, Jeanette?
Hi.
You there, Jeanette?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that was the face of human trafficking. What I have you guys listening to is some TED Ed documentaries or speeches or whatever they're called, because they're very informative. And I feel like it will give you guys a better picture of what human trafficking is, because there's so many different what am I trying to say? There's so many different types of human trafficking. It's just not cookie cutter and saying, hey, it's literally a young girl under 18 being taken and putting in sex life. There's multiple forms of human trafficking. Did you have something to say, Jeanette?
I was going to say, am I echoing? Or no? Okay. I was hearing my voice back for a minute, but I was going to say, when I worked with the group home kids, I would see them really go after the girls that were in the system.
You would see who go after the girls in the system?
Human traffickers. So sometimes girls would run and they'd disappear, and then they'd find them like months later and bring them back. There'd been times where they would find them with somebody that was like prostituting them. Yeah.
Have you heard about that one guy? Remember, I did this story a while back. It was this older African-American dude, and he had a house, looked ran down or whatever, but he had multiple girls there that had caught him before, caught him multiple times, but he was like handicapped and all kind of stuff, and he was still trafficking these women in his house. I'm going to see if I could go back in my videos and find it. This man was like a serial trafficker, like, oh my God. Do you remember that?
I don't, but...
Or no, I believe the house is like a yellowish color. I'm going to go back and see if I can find it, and I'll bring it up if I can find it, if I didn't delete it, because I was going through my stream here today, and I deleted a whole bunch of stuff, not knowing what I was doing.
Well, you know, when I worked in that field, I worked in Fresno, which is really bad for that.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So you worked in a what exactly?
I worked in a group home that was level 12 to 14. So 14 was like one step away from California Youth Authority. And all the kids in there were wards of the court. They were probation, mostly. So they were already on probation for other crimes.
Wow. Wow. And so you're saying... So what do you mean human traffickers were looking for the girls in there? Go ahead.
They would run. They would run away to people that would like pimp them out on the streets. Yeah.
Oh, from their actual homes, they would run away to these.
No, from the group home.
They were running away from the group home to pimps.
Yeah.
To try to start a better life, or what were they trying to do? Was that their thought process? I can start a better life. I can make money if I'm working with this person, to try to get out of the group home. So were they in this group home from their...
They had loyalty to them because they thought that that's their family. Their own family wasn't good or there for them to begin with.
Okay. So when they originally got into the system, they're leaving their biological or whatever homes they were in, got into the system, and then were running away to these traffickers.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, because when parents lose their kids to the streets like that, eventually they can't control them, and the courts will take them away. So it's not, the court doesn't always take children away for abuse. Sometimes they take children away when the parents can't control them.
See, but my problem with that is if you are gonna, fun to be, but my problem with that is if you guys are gonna take these children from these places because they're acting out and all this stuff, something is going on at home for them to do this.
Right.
They need to put them in an environment where they're going to thrive and love to be there and stuff like that. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to put them in a foster home and they're going to love it. With these people that can care less, they're just trying to get a check. There needs to be, and this is something I keep saying I want to put together, but I know I can't. I want to have acres and acres and acres where children like that can come and have everything at their hands, to where, you know, you can go camping, you can go on nature hunts, you can play with the horses, you can do this and have a great life here with all people like you waiting to get into permanent homes. But if you put them in somewhere where they are not going to want to be, or people that are abusing them, what do they think this is going to be? It's going to be a cycle.
Well, actually, the facility I worked, we're not abusing them.
Say it again.
I said we weren't abusing them. They were getting exactly that services. She had.
So what all was this place offering?
She had 13 homes and an assessment center in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
So it would offer their housing. We'd help them even after they turned 18, be able to, get into whatever they needed to get into.
But no. I just want to know what activities, what involvement, what was keeping
these
a
drug program.
minds going.
It was primarily our kids were in drug programs. 3 of the homes were for children that were sex offenders. It's kind of hard to talk about, but the kids in the homes that I worked in did commit crimes and serious ones.
Okay.
So they couldn't be at home.
So there was drug programs. There was what else?
Sex offenders in 3 of the homes. So there was.
Oh, the children were sex offenders.
Yes. So therapy. It was, it was a behavior program for them. So.
I mean, I definitely do think there should be, every state should have a facility for children, like you're saying, that are always getting in trouble and always just into mischief, and have programs for drug prevention, for the therapy, for the sexual type things, to work with them on that level. If they're thieves, if they are harming people and violent, there should be a facility for those types of children.
Well,
and there should also be another facility for children that are just being in the system for something their parents did or whatever, that are not necessarily in trouble, to where they can have all the finer things in life and go into properly vetted homes. So we can prevent what happened to Orrin and Orson.
Right.
Sincere and Classic. Properly vetted homes. And so they can have a nice transition. I do feel like every state should have a huge facility for those types of children, and have bunks for them, rooms, where they can have roommates. The older children can have roommate dorm type situations, where it could be prepping them for college. I feel like there needs to be places like that are positive, instead of putting these kids into foster homes with these people that are only doing foster care to get a check, only adopting kids to get help. No, there needs to be more for these children to make them thrive better in society, to me.
So the population I worked with was mostly probation. And if they didn't make it, hold on. Yeah, that's it.
Hi, Tinky.
If they didn't make it, I'm on live. If they didn't make it there, they would end up in the California Youth Authority, which is basically prison for kids.
Okay.
And the prison for kids holds people, I think, until 21, and they transfer them to the big prison.
South National, DMX was in a home like what? You can hop on the link. Like, any of my lives are completely open panel, content creator or not. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a voice over here, whether the conversation you hear over here you agree with or do not agree with, no one's going to shut you down. So I just think that there should be more positive type homes for these children. Even at 21, it should go all the way up to 26 to me, because at 26, that's when you can't be on your parents' insurance. Like, you're literally cut off from everything. So it should be a program like that, to where they have
Well,
literally schools and things for the kids. They have literally high schools for the kids. They literally have apartments for the ones that are going to be transitioning into college situations, dorm situations, apartments for the ones that are outside of the college realm, like I said, up to 26. Very small of that. I'm not saying because you should be on your game, getting your stuff together by then, but something to help the young people get on their feet. That's something that I wish every state can have, and it literally be huge in that state, a huge area on acres and acres and acres. That way, no matter what part of the state you're in, if you are in this one facility, you don't got to make multiple around everywhere, just one in every state, and kids can feel safe in these environments.
Get out.
And even the workers need to be vetted, because these corrupted people going, and you can't completely filter them out, but if you get 1-2 complaint, come on now, you can't get burnt by the fire this many times. You're out. Just, we're not going to keep playing these games with these people.
So since I've worked in that field, California has implemented a law called A12. So
say it again. Called what? Because you're breaking up.
They've implemented a law called AB12.
AB12?
Yes. It used to be when, a long time ago, when I was first in the system, once kids turned 18 and a half, they were just cut off and basically sent out to the streets. AB12 doesn't allow it anymore. If they turn 18 in foster care or in the ward of the court, they are allowed a monthly check. I think it's like $850 a month until the 26, and then they also get college funding. Okay. So they have done some things to move in the direction to help these children, but the thing is that they're doing that's wrong is they'll have children in the system all the way up till 17 and a half and then give them back to the parents so that don't qualify for AB12, which is what happened to my foster child. They gave her back 6 months before she turned 18.
Oh no.
And her mom kicked her out the day she turned 18. So they're starting to give kids back just before they turn 18 when they've had them in the system all this time.
And this is why I feel like for a lesson learned to Department of Children's Services, CPS, whatever they want to be called, I feel that Ryan Dean should get this full settlement. Make this be an example of why they need to clear up whatever they're doing, because these are innocent kids that don't have a say in their life. They already have messed up parents or are born into a messed up situation to where they need to be removed. Why do we need to remove them from that to put them in a more of a hellish situation? And this needs to be an example to where these workers need to go out there and look at everything about these families before they are able to place a child somewhere. Because
I don't know about Ryan Dean's history at all, but I do know that children that grow up in the foster care system are really at risk of their children being taken too, and they think that it's normal. So it happens like generation after generation after generation. Yeah.
Just like the woman that was talking about her kids that got put into Trezelle and Jacqueline's care. She was wondering where they were. She was saying she was a part of that too. Her parents were in the jail system, and then it just kind of trickled down. I understand that. But we have to give these children a better outlook on life, or they're going to have that mindset. You can change their mindset if they don't feel like, okay, my mom was a foster kid. Now I'm a foster kid. Okay, so now they would accept if their kid, if they were doing wrong, their kid has to be a foster kid too, because this is normal. This is okay. I never had that. My mother has never been like that. No one in my family has had any of that. So it's looked at as like, no, this is something we shouldn't do. So we should instill that in their minds too. Like, no, it's not okay to do You fight for your kids. But if we make it seem normal, that's what they're going to do. And we have to change the way the system is going. And that's why I feel like Ryan Dean should get this settlement to make an example. If y'all don't snap it up, get it together, this is going to happen nationwide. Y'all need to get it together. These kids are not puppies. They're not cats. They're not, oh, you go to the humane set. I want you. No, this is not what that is. These are lives here. And I feel like these two boys should be the biggest example, because for law enforcement to even want to look at this nonsense, two go missing at the same time, come on now. Unless it was an inside job, no. It's just, things don't happen like that. Can it happen? Yes. But with the circumstances before and saying, hey, I want this house, I'm trying to get off the grid. What you getting off the grid for? Young man, what do you want to get off the grid for?
Right.
That would have been a red flag to me. Period.
Well, and his own income should have supported himself. You're not allowed to support yourself on foster care income. You're not. Okay. And that's where I don't understand. I don't understand really how that allowed.
You know what? I feel like they got a lot going on with the backing of, from what I've heard, the mom having some touchy fingers in stuff with the system, as well as Jacqueline dealing with, okay, so the phone calls, and I'm probably going to bring my mom on a live so she can explain to you guys what the woman was saying in the phone calls because of the boys. Because when you guys heard about it, you guys didn't get to hear the full conversation. I want you guys to hear from my mom what her and the lady was talking about, because Jacqueline was taking information from these clients, I guess, of whatever company this was. And we talked about this, Jeanette. And to me, asking this woman, can I use you for a reference? Can I put you on my information? Is a little sketchy. That's why when people were looking into Jacqueline, they were coming to this woman, they were going to Cherry, they were going to all these different people. And I wonder what that connection was. I still wonder what her connection to Cherry was and why she was on the tree. If it was the same situation, did she have a child, a grandchild, or anything like that that would have to do with Jacqueline's work, and she was using that as a way of getting other identities and information, because this little boy was sent back multiple times. But if they had you be the translator and help this out, why are their paperwork still being rejected? It makes no sense. So I'm going to have a live on here.
Was she working with like a group home foster care agency? Is that company? She was, okay.
She was working with a company. We can
was she doing like wrap services? I think so.
Well, what it sounds like to me is she was a helper or a translator for the Hispanic community. And she was people that couldn't fully fill out their paperwork for whatever the reason was. She was trying to help them fill it out, get the right information, and get the services they needed. But still, with her help, the paperwork was getting sent back. So it's like, what were you really doing with this paperwork if it was never being cleared? What was you helping with?
So was she doing something with like Covered California?
I don't know exactly. It's the building that I told you about. And I don't have any of that information because with the person I was working with, a lot of that information wasn't given over. But if I go back, I can find it, because a couple of people did touch on exactly what it was in the conversations, and we could look into that. But I just don't want to open up another can of worms, which the focus was finding the boys. And we can look more into Jacqueline, but it is what it is on that point. But it is that place you were telling me about. Remember?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. If I see it again, I'll be able to, it'll click into my mind, but
so
I wasn't necessarily on that case. I just was finding the information that I was finding to help out that YouTuber. Like I said, I wasn't trying to be a YouTuber at all. And yeah.
So there are some good group home facilities and there are some bad ones, and they're all licensed under community care licensing. So community care licensing goes through, they inspect, they're supposed to inspect yearly, and they make sure that everything's okay. And they'll even pull the kids aside and talk to them if there's any complaints. So, some group homes get closed down, like if anything, when they find bad things. So,
yeah, I'm gonna unplay this last video real quick. So we're gonna mute up real quick, okay, Nat?
Okay.
Yeah, let me put my banner over real quick. Hey, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button. I don't see enough likes out there. I mean, I do work hard for what I do put out here, and I'm genuine to what I'm doing. Guys, go ahead, hit that like button. Keep this going. We need this in rotation for people to be aware of what's going on in this day and age. And we need to find Felicia. Any of these kids or any of these people that I talk about, we need to give them justice or to put the awareness out there. So go ahead and hit that like button. All right, here we go. Let me put this banner up real quick. So this is for educational purposes only. This is for you guys to get an understanding of what's going on. All right. So I'm going to put up a banner, which is this one. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm really grateful that I get to come and speak to you all about something that I'm so passionate about. So I'm going to speak to you today about domestic sex trafficking. This is something I hold very dear, being a survivor of domestic sex trafficking myself. This is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I've dedicated my life to bringing awareness to this ever-growing issue. So today what I want to...
Like I told you guys, there are so many realms. There's so many sectors of human trafficking. This is another part of it, and this is domestic sex trafficking. So let's take a listen.
To focus on in the time that I have is I'd like to define domestic sex trafficking for you. I want to paint a picture of what human trafficking looks like in an Ontario context and walk you through the stages of commercial exploitation to give you an idea of what this really looks like. Media and movies portray human trafficking to look one way, and it looks completely different than that. And then I want to end by talking about how we can all ignite change. I'm a huge believer that education is power, and I often wonder if somebody came into my high school when I was growing up, would this have happened to me? Or would I have been able to identify those red flags before it was too late? I'm not sure, but I think I would have been equipped with a lot more information that would have helped me when this started to happen to me. So I'm going to jump right in, and I really want to start by defining those words, domestic sex trafficking. So I'm going to differentiate between domestic and international so we can understand that they look completely different. So the best way to differentiate between the two is to think of it the exact same way you would if you were to walk into an airport. Really, you have two choices. You can take a domestic flight or you can take an international flight. If you take an international flight, it means you're getting on that plane in one country and you are landing in a completely different country. If you take a domestic flight, it means you're getting on that plane in one country and you land in the exact same country. means the same thing when it comes to human trafficking. International human trafficking means you are from one country and you're brought to another country for the purpose of exploitation or the purpose of trafficking. Domestic human trafficking means you are from one country, either born and raised or have come to this country for whatever reason, nothing to do with trafficking, call this country your home and then are trafficked within that country. The majority of human trafficking that occurs in Canada is domestic sex trafficking. The UN's stat says that 71% of all trafficking that occurs in Canada is domestic sex trafficking. That means this is happening to our young people. This is happening to people in your schools, in your communities, in your neighborhoods. It is not an issue that is happening somewhere else. It is happening to people here that call Canada their home. Next, I really want to give you that definition of what human trafficking is. So human trafficking really is an umbrella term. There's many forms of human trafficking. But again, today, I'm only talking about domestic sex trafficking. The reason being is that's my area of expertise. And that's the majority of what we see here in Canada. So the UN has a definition for human trafficking. The Criminal Code has a definition for human trafficking. They're very long, they're wordy, they're hard to remember. I have a cheating definition. It's super easy to remember, so I use it all the time. There's 4 elements that have to be present in order for human trafficking to exist. If you have these 4 elements, then you have human trafficking. So there needs to be force, there needs to be fraud, there needs to be coercion, and it all needs to be facilitated by a third party or a group of people. So somebody behind the scenes doing it to you and profiting from you. Force, fraud, coercion, facilitated by a third party. That is the definition of human trafficking. If all those elements are present, then you have human trafficking. So now that we understand what human trafficking is by the definition, I really want to paint a picture for you of what it actually looks like. Because what I said when I first walked in here is that movies and media portray human trafficking to look one way, and they look completely different. So the education that I got growing up around what human trafficking was from movies, and I was taught wrong. So I'm going to walk you through the stages of commercial exploitation. This chart was developed by listening to survivors' stories. This is how it happens. Every single young person I have ever worked with has been brought through these stages. This is a thought-out psychological process that people are brought through in order for somebody to have control and manipulation over. So I'm going to walk you through stage by stage. The first stage is the luring stage, and in this stage, this is when your trafficker begins to assess your vulnerabilities. So somebody isn't just pointing out somebody in a crowd and being like, I'm going to traffic this person. It is thought out. And that's what that luring process is for. So in this luring process, your trafficker is going to begin to assess your vulnerabilities. He's looking for somebody who's vulnerable. He's looking for somebody who has both individual risk factors and societal and systemic risk factors. He is going to begin to test the waters to figure out these vulnerabilities. He's going to put feelers out. He's going to see if you're going to be, if you will be able to buy what he's selling. He does this by asking you 1,000,000 questions. And it does not feel like you're being interrogated, and it does not feel like you're being interviewed. It feels incredibly, incredibly special. That for once somebody's taken time out of their life and asked you about yours. For once somebody stopped and noticed you were struggling and asked you about it. He's going to ask you about your life. He's going to ask you about your family, your friends. He's going to ask you about your hopes and dreams for the future, the struggles you've been through. And he's going to listen to everything. And what he's doing in this moment is he's gathering information that he's later going to use against you. But in that moment, it feels incredibly good. So you're going to tell them anything and everything. The other thing that they do in this stage is they're going to look at every single one of your basic needs that are not being met. And very quickly, they're going to begin to meet them. So it moves to the next stage, that grooming and gaming stage, also known as the honeymoon stage. So they are going to begin to meet every single one of your basic needs. If you told them in that luring stage that you didn't feel safe at home or you didn't have a safe place to stay, they're going to offer you a safe place to stay. They're going to take you shopping. They're going to get your hair done, your nails done. They are going to wine and dine you. They are going to shower you with compliments, boost your self-esteem, boost your self-worth. They're going to begin to introduce you to all their friends. They're going to make you feel a part of something, that sense of belonging, that sense of family. They're going to tell you things like they're going to keep you safe, that they're never going to let anybody hurt you again, that no matter what, they're going to be there for you. They're continuing to ask you questions and be interested in your life during this stage as well. 85% of the young people I work with identify their trafficker to be their boyfriend or their girlfriend. So we also know it's incredibly, incredibly relational. Even that other 15% is usually quite relational. It's usually a companionship or a friendship, or in fact, a family member that's doing it to you. If drugs are involved in this stage, they're going to be given to you freely, no questions asked. If they're not involved, they might keep it that way, or they could introduce them in a very playful way. Whatever you need, I've got for you. If you are in that loving relationship, it feels as if you have met your dream man. It feels as if you have hit the jackpot, as if finally your luck has turned around. I cannot stress enough that in this stage, it feels as if this is the best your life has ever been. Even if your life was not that bad before, they took the time in that luring stage to get to know everything that was lacking in your life. And now they're providing it for you. So this feels as if this is the best your life has ever been. There's little to no red flags in this stage. The biggest red flag is it is too good to be true. And who wants to believe that this is too good to be true if nobody has ever treated you this way before? The red flags don't come in until the next stage. So the next stage is the coercion and manipulation stage. This is when your trafficker begins to give you all that love and affection and then pulls it all away. And then gives you all that love and attention and then pulls it all away. It's like you're walking on eggshells. You're wondering, is he going to have a good day today or is he going to have a bad day today? You actually start to think in your mind, what did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong because I know he's capable of treating me better than anybody has ever treated me before. So I must have done something. You actually start to think in your mind that you start to feel indebted in the relationship. He's done so much for me in this relationship. What have I done to contribute? So you might actually start to think things in your mind that you can offer in that relationship. But before you can do that, he's going to start to ask you to do things. And he's going to ask you to do things that you're probably not comfortable doing, or they're going to ask you to do things that maybe you talked about in the luring stage that you said you would never do. Those are things that you held on to. Those are your morals and your values that you were never willing to step out of that comfort zone. He's now going to ask you again in this coercion manipulation stage. And you're going to be much more likely to say yes because you just wanted to go back to that honeymoon stage. You just want him to treat you in a way that you know he's capable of treating you, which is better than anybody has ever treated you before. So as soon as you start to do those things, he's going to give you all that love and attention back. And then he's going to pull it away again, and he's going to ask you to do something else. And as soon as you do it, he's going to give you all that love and affection back. What he's doing is he's breaking down your boundaries, your morals, and your values, and then he's rewarding you for them. So he could ask you to do things that are sexual or not sexual. If they're not sexual, they might ask you to do things like hold drugs for them or lie for them or look out while they commit a crime or rob somebody maybe. And immediately after, they give you all that love and attention back. Or it could be sexual. This is where they start to desensitize you to certain sexual acts, prepare you for the sex trade. So they might ask you to send that naked picture they've been begging you for. They might ask you to make a video with them. They might ask you to have sex with one of their friends. And immediately after, they give you all that love and affection back. It goes back to that honeymoon stage, and then they pull it all away again. This is an incredibly confusing time. The other thing that they're going to do in this stage is they might do something called conditioning, where they have sex with you and shortly after they take you shopping. Or they have sex with you and shortly after they take you to get your hair done or your nails done. And then that slowly gets replaced by cash. They'll have sex with you and then they'll throw you $60 and say, oh, baby, that's amazing. You're so good at that. Go treat yourself. Go do something nice for yourself. Your brain actually starts to associate sex with a reward, sex with money. The last thing that they do in this stage is they're going to build a wedge between you and anybody who's healthy. And I'm really grateful that I get to come and speak to you all.
Listen, this is all calculated. They calculate these things. They, like she said, you know, they find things you like and say, hey, you know, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to give you that. Oh, I clicked out. So I'm going to find where we were at. But, you know, they find things that make you happy and they switch it. Now from those things, now it's monetary. They want you to associate sex with money. Now I'm not getting you gifts. I'm not going to take you out to eat after. I'm not going to this. I'm just going to give you this money and be like, here, baby, I love you. Go shopping. You make it seem like you're just doing stuff for me out of love. And then it comes to be like, okay, well, now I'm having sex with you and I'm giving you money. Well, why can't you have sex with him? He give you money and shouldn't that make you happy because you're getting stuff? They manipulate. Let me find the part where you're at.
Your nails done. They are going to wine and dine you. They are going to shower you with compliments, boost your self-esteem, boost your self-worth. They're going to begin to introduce you to all their friends. They're going to make you feel a part of something, that sense of belonging, that sense of family. They're going to tell you things like they're going to keep you safe, that they're never going to let anybody hurt you again, that no matter what, they're going to be there for you. They're continuing to ask you questions and be interested in your life during this stage as well. 85% of the young people I work with identify their trafficker to be their boyfriend or their girlfriend. So we also know it's incredibly, incredibly relational.
That's the biggest thing. What I've heard them call them is boyfriend pimps. I also wrote something in the chat earlier because not her, but another one of the speakers referred to the person that, you know, beats on the girls or beats on whoever they have was called something they said, but I've heard the term called a gorilla pimp, to where they instill fear into the woman, and that's how they gain authority of them. And then what she's describing here is now what I've heard to be called a boyfriend pimp. So they first will get with you, be with you, and make you feel completely safe with them. And like she said, after you guys do something, they'll, take you out to dinner or bite, let's go to the mall, whatever. So they're making you associate the affection with gifts. Then they switch it to, okay, well, we're not going to go to the mall. I'm not going to get you this, but I'll give you the money for the bag, or I'll give you the money for this. Switching that whole mind process to now associating their love, so-called, with money. So then when they want to switch it up and say, hey, well, I'm giving you money for this, why can't you do this? The girl already has in their mind, okay, this is a money thing. So let me see this before I go back. What does it say? I don't care how young or old we are anymore. This is educational. Yes, for me as a mom of 3, I am getting old. There is never anything that I cannot learn from these days. Thank you for sharing this, Naomi. Yes, Jennifer, you know why? This is off topic, but I'm going to say it real quick, but I'm going to bring it up later on because, I talk a lot about kids stuff. That's not only what it is, but the Huggy Wuggy character. I had no idea what it was. Jeanette brought it to my attention of what it was because my son was talking about it and showed me a thing in the mall. He was like, oh, that's Huggy Wuggy. Never thought anything of it. Then he went to school talking about it, and his teacher is like, well, he keeps talking about Huggy Wuggy in class. And I'm like, who cares? It's a stuffed animal. But she brought it to my attention that it was something negative. So we all need to be out here sharing with other parents, other moms, other dads, what's going on nowadays, because I used to feel like I was always in the loop. Now I feel like I'm old because I don't know any of this new age stuff. So yes, most definitely, Jennifer, if I can, I will always try to put information out for us all to know. But here we go. Let's continue.
Even that other 15% is usually quite relational. It's usually a companionship or a friendship, or in fact, a family member that's doing it to you. If drugs are involved in this stage, they're going to be given to you freely, no questions asked. If they're not involved, they might keep it that way, or they could introduce them in a very playful way. Whatever you need, I've got for you. If you are in that loving relationship, it feels as if you have met your dream man. It feels as if you have hit the jackpot, as if finally your luck has turned around. I cannot stress enough that in this stage, it feels as if this is the best your life has ever been. Even if your life was not that bad before, they took the time in that luring stage to get to know everything that was lacking in your life. And now they're providing it for you. So this feels as if this is the best your life has ever been. There's little to no red flags in this stage. The biggest red flag is it is too good to be true. And who wants to believe that this is too good to be true if nobody has ever treated you this way before? The red flags don't come in until the next stage. So the next stage is the coercion and manipulation stage. This is when your trafficker begins to give you all that love and affection and then pulls it all away. And then gives you all that love and attention and then pulls it all away. It's like you're walking on eggshells. You're wondering, is he going to have a good day today or is he going to have a bad day today?
Mind games.
You actually start to think in your mind, what did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong because I know he's capable of treating me better than anybody has ever treated me before. So I must have done something. You actually start to think in your mind, you start to feel indebted in the relationship. He's done so much for me in this relationship. What have I done to contribute? So you might actually start to think things in your mind that you can offer in that relationship. But before you can do that, he's going to start to ask you to do things. And he's going to ask you to do things that you're probably not comfortable doing, or they're going to ask you to do things that maybe you talked about in the luring stage that you said you would never do. Those are things that you held on to. Those are your morals and your values that you were never willing to step out of that comfort zone. He's now going to ask you again in this coercion and manipulation stage. And you're going to be much more likely to say yes because you just want it to go back to that honeymoon stage. You just want him to treat you in a way that you know he's capable of treating you, which is better than anybody has ever treated you before. So as soon as you start to do those things, he's going to give you all that love and attention back. And then he's going to pull it away again, and he's going to ask you to do something else. And as soon as you do it, he's going to give you all that love and affection back. What he's doing is he's breaking down your boundaries, your morals, and your values, and then he's rewarding you for them. So he could ask you to do things that are sexual or not sexual. If they're not sexual, they might ask you to do things like hold drugs for them or lie for them or look out while they commit a crime or rob somebody maybe. And immediately after, they give you all that love and attention back. or it could be sexual. This is where they start to desensitize you to certain sexual acts,
Hey, y'all,
prepare you
I
for the
like
sex trade.
her.
So they might ask you to send that naked picture they've been begging you for. They might ask you to make a video with them. They might ask you to have sex with one of their friends. And immediately after, they give you all that love and affection back. It goes back to that honeymoon stage, and then they pull it all away again. This is an incredibly confusing time. The other thing that they're going to do in this stage is they might do something called conditioning, where they have sex with you, and shortly after, they take you shopping. Or they have sex with you, and shortly after, they take you to get your hair done or your nails done. And then that slowly gets replaced by cash. They'll have sex with you, and then they'll throw you $60 and say, oh, baby, that's amazing. You're so good at that. Go treat yourself. Go do something nice for yourself. Your brain actually starts to associate sex with a reward, sex with money. The last thing that they do in this stage is they're going to build a wedge between you and anybody who's healthy in your life. So they're going to pick fights with your friends. They are going to blow up stories that you maybe told them way back in the luring stage. That's something that your family or loved one did too that really hurt you. They're going to blow it up and amplify that. They want to build that wedge. They want when something goes wrong in your life that the first person that you call is them. They want you to be 100% dependent on them. I used to work with a young woman her trafficker actually used to go into her phone and delete messages from loved ones who were reaching out. She actually started to believe nobody else cared about her, that he was the only one that loved her. He was the only one that she could depend on. This is when he has you exactly where they want you. This is when they'll bring up the idea of working in the sex trade. This is when it moves to that full-on exploitation stage. And they may bring up that idea of working in the sex trade in a variety of different ways, but it's usually either extremely direct or the complete opposite, incredibly, incredibly insidious. So if it's direct, he's literally going to say to you, you know all that stuff I've done for you? The clothes I bought you, the condo you've been staying in, the drugs I've given you, it's actually not free. You owe me money, and this is how you're going to pay me back. And if you don't do it, I'm not going to love you anymore. I'm not going to be there for you anymore. I'm not going to take care of you anymore. I'm going to circulate that video we made. He's got all the ammo he needs to use against you to get you to take your first trick. And once you do, then again, he's got even more ammo to keep you there. If he goes with the insidious route, what he's going to do is he's going to bring up the idea of working in the sex trade by playing off information he gained from you way back in the luring stage. So maybe in that luring stage, you told him that your dream for the future was to one day create your own loving, supportive family. Maybe you told him growing up you never had that, and that was your dream. You wanted to one day get married and buy a house and have kids and really create that loving, supportive family. So he's going to say something to you like, you know that life you want to have? You know that wedding you want, that house you want, those kids you want? I love you so much, and I don't want to wait any longer. I can't picture my life without you. I got this crazy idea. We'll make stacks of cash. We'll only have to do it for a couple months, and no matter what, I'm going to love you. No matter what, I'm going to be there for you. Of course you're going to say yes. He just sold you a dream. Your exact dream that you told him way back in the luring stage. This is what human trafficking looks like. It does not look like the movies.
She says it exactly. He just sold you a dream. He sold you exactly what you told him in the beginning. He was taking notes. Don't think he wasn't keeping notes. He was keeping notes. So everything you said you want, now that he has you right under his fingertips, he's going to tell you, hey, everything you was asking for is right here. I got it for you. You just got to do this. And this is how they make their move. I really like this girl. She's putting it all out there. I really do. Let's listen up.
You're not kidnapped. You're not moved from place to place. You're not locked in a room. You're not beaten every day. This is what it looks like. I want to touch on why it's not as simple as asking somebody to leave, because it is horrific. Just because you believe somebody loves you doesn't mean you don't have to do things that you never thought you would do before. You have absolutely no control. So I can tell you from my experience, my traffickers had taken all control from me. I hated every minute of it. I had no idea who was coming to my hotel room door, and I had no idea what service I was expected to provide. I hated every minute of it. It was the most traumatic and horrific experience of my life, but as crazy as it sounds, my life was still better than before I had met them. I had a roof over my head. I had food in my stomach. I wasn't withdrawing on the streets in the freezing cold. I would have done whatever it took to keep it there, and I would have never walked out of that hotel room door. Physically, I could have. I was not locked up. I was not tied in a room. My pimps were not there 24/7. Physically, I could have opened my hotel room door. I could have walked out, and I could have asked for help. I never would have. There are 3 reasons why I wouldn't have left. And after working with young people for quite a few years now in similar situations, these are the 3 reasons why people don't just leave. The first is the obvious, the fear. I was afraid of them. There was some physical violence in my situation. And all I could think is, if I walk out this door, what are they going to do to me? That fear was real. More so than that, though, it was the fear of the unknown. If I walk out this door, where am I going to go? Where am I going to get my next meal? Where am I going to sleep tonight? Where am I going to get my next fix? And who is ever going to love me again after this? Who is ever going to take care of me? That was much scarier than they were. And the final reason I didn't leave was the psychological hold that they had on me, the trauma bond. It is unbelievable how strong that is. They picked me up off the ground when everybody else had given up on me. They were there for me when nobody else was. They treated me better than anybody had ever treated me before. The best way I can really explain that trauma bond is I'll tell you a very short story. It happened to me after I took my very first trick. One of my pimps came in the room and he sat down on the bed beside me and he looked at me in the eyes and it was so genuine. Every time I tell this story, I can in fact still picture the moment and it still feels just as genuine. Logically, I know it's not, but that's how strong it was in the moment. He sat there and he looked at me in the eyes and he said, Carly, I am so proud of you. And he said it because I told him way back in the luring stage that the only thing I had ever wanted to hear growing up is that somebody was proud of me. Now he said it. Didn't matter anymore who was proud of me or what they were proud of me for. Somebody was finally proud of me. I was finally good at something. I was going to do whatever it took to hear that over and over and over again. This is what human trafficking looks like. So really quickly, just to end, what can everybody do today? Starting today, how can we ignite change? And it's simple. We need to educate others. You need to educate yourself and you need to educate others on what you've heard today. Continue to look into what human trafficking really looks like. Know the signs. Know how to identify who might be being trafficked and know where the resources are in your community and what to do if you identify somebody who could be being trafficked. You need to advocate. You need to advocate for change. You need to advocate for more resources and you need to advocate for more funding specialized in human trafficking. And lastly, I'm going to put these two together, but we need to know consent and we need to empower youth. Get people to come and talk to in your schools about what human trafficking is. Talk about the true definition of consent. We were taught wrong growing up. You need to let people know that consent has certain elements that have to be present. It must be clear, it must be coherent, it must be willing, and it must be ongoing. And again, empower our youth. Give them more socioeconomic opportunities. In fact, boost their self-esteem and boost their self-worth. If I can leave you with one thing today, it's that if a young person is empowered, it is incredibly difficult to traffic them. Thank you.
Yo, she was so on point. She was so on point, and that's exactly where you guys can go. Domestic sex trafficking, a survivor's perspective. Carly Church, TED Ed. There's so many that you guys can watch on TED Ed. I just wanted to give you guys a peek into it, and he has, anything you want to talk about.
Yeah.
This channel has some type of educational realm of it. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah, she was.
She was on point. She was super on point. Like, she's experienced and she was able to talk to people about it. So it's just amazing to see different perspectives of what's going on. Like she said, domestic and international. It's exactly what it is. Think of it as a plane fight.
Right.
Domestic abuse is right here in the States. International is I'm taking you overseas to do whatever. And what I've heard a lot is about the red light district. That's where they like to take a lot of girls. That's why when I was going to take my trip to Hawaii, I'm like, yo, I got to look into this because it's a little different. Even though it's considered a part of the States, it's completely isolated and all of that. You don't know what can happen. This industry, go ahead.
I was going to say, no matter what economic status you have, your children still aren't safe. If you look at what happened with Jeffrey Epstein,
they're vulnerable no matter what. You know what? Because I've had friends that are literally have parents that are doctors, lawyers, things to where they don't got to worry about nothing. Like they can have their college paid through whatever, but they're being targeted. And it's to these people that are looking to get their money, but they're doing it in a different way. Instead of just going and robbing the family, they're like, we're going to take your daughter from you. And we know this is your prized possession. We're going to make her work for us. We're going to do that because they know that if they take the child from the parents, that the child can go, hey, mom, I need money for this. I need money because I need food. Even though they left the house and everything, these parents will normally still enable their children and send them $500 because they're in another state and they don't know what to do. And the pimps will take advantage of that. Oh, no, you better ask your parents for this amount. So no child is safe out here. No child, no adult is safe. Everybody needs to watch their P's and Q's because you can get caught up with a man that you think you're falling head over heels with, they're married, they got a million kids, they're telling you they're not, you're the one and only. You know, they're taking care of you so much in the beginning, and then it leads to, you know, them making you feel guilty about all the things they've done for you, and it just goes on and on and on from there. It's crazy. Crazy. I'm gonna drop the link right now, guys. We're gonna talk a little bit. If nobody pops up, then we'll head out. And I do have a topic I do want to talk about tomorrow. I wrote it down, but I don't even know what I wrote. But I'll look into it so we can have another discussion tomorrow. I just want to make a lot of the focus be on this young lady, because we got to start standing up for things like this. And why does a skin color make my life be less valuable than Susie's or Rebecca's or Jane's? Like, why is the skin color changing the way my case is looked into? I just wonder if it was a Caucasian young lady, what they call perfect, so blonde hair, blue eyes, going to this establishment that they say, I'm only talking about what they say, is predominantly Hispanic, goes in there, she doesn't get the job, and she disappears. And then we take a phone of that same young lady that has a speck of blood or covered in blood, whichever one is true. I think they would have hopped right on it. What do you think?
Well, I think this is a combination of things. I think it has to do with her career choice and her skin color.
Exactly.
Because
it's a combination.
Right. Because if it was a teacher or, you know what I mean, a cashier or something, they would have hopped on it quicker. But because they don't respect that career choice, I think that's another reason that they haven't searched as hard as they should have.
Yes, even with insurance, you know, when my mother first found out when I was younger, what was this, over 10 years ago now, over 10 years ago now, when she found out, you know, my lifestyle, she immediately was like, I'm getting a life insurance policy on you. You dangerous. Even with stuff like that, them knowing your occupation or whatever the case may be, they're going to heist it up more because you're more at risk to bring harm to yourself.
Right.
And that's why I choose whenever, well, not whenever, because I've had so many long relationships that were so long that I've had my own place. But if I'm by myself, I do not feel comfortable living alone at all because of my experiences. And so, you know, I've heard people say like, oh, well, hey, Naomi lives with her. Yes, I do. I do live with my mother, and I will continue to live with my mother for other reasons other than this, but that ain't nobody's business. But I do feel more comfortable at home because of, I only can blame it on myself, the lifestyle that I chose before my child. And I wouldn't be comfortable being a single woman living in my house with, especially in the city that I came from, because this is where I have the most people randomly knocking at my door, randomly demanding me to come outside. And it's just not me saying this because you guys have been on lives when it's happened. Correct?
Yeah.
And they don't care about me saying, I got the police on the phone, leave. They don't care about that. When I say that, what's being told to me, Jeanette? Because I don't want to make it seem like I'm just acting like I'm such a person where people are just crazy and doing all this stuff. You were on the live when you heard what was going on. What did you hear that was going on? The whole reason why we have our pet Layla which, and I'm going to put this up real quick because in order to win anything on here with the
I
people.
kind of thought they wanted to know what you did to have him come over there.
Say it again.
What you did.
What I did what?
To have the guy come to your door.
What I did to have him come to my door?
Yeah, they were kind of submissive.
What do you mean? What I did to have him come to my door? I didn't do anything to have him come to my door.
I know you didn't, but I'm saying that was their thought process about it, and they were dismissed. They didn't do anything.
Wait, I'm confused on what you're saying. Explain it to me.
When the man came to your door, you called the police.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to know what you did, like how you knew him. What'd you do to have him come to your door? Like, what did you do?
Right. Okay, now I get what you're saying. Okay, so this is a guy that's just in the community. Whenever I go to my local store, he's out there. What I found out is that he lives somewhere by me to where he knew when I go to the store, like I said, my car is noticeable. He knew my car was parked in my house and he knew where I lived. And so that's why he would continuously come to my house.
Right.
After I got lazy, he seen her at the store with me that one time and he said, "Why did you get a dog?" I said, "For you." And even after that, he said, "Oh, that's not going to stop me." He said he will continue to harass me and he didn't say harass, but he was like, "I'll continue to come to your house." And I was just like, well, why? I'm thinking in my head, I'm just getting in the car like, because he was basically telling me she ain't going to stop me. But I can say, ever since that day, I have never had him come to my house. I haven't seen him at the store. I haven't seen him walking through the community. I have not seen him at all ever since he's seen Layla. I have not seen him. So I never done anything to this man. Right. There was one time, he's one of those guys that walk around and be like, "Can I mow your grass? Can I wash your windows? Can I wash your car?" He's one of those guys in the neighborhood, like a local, I don't want to say this, drunk or drug addict that is just looking for any small jobs, mowing the grass to get money to do whatever they were. And I knew that day that he came here, he was definitely under the influence. And I never go to my door. The only reason why I did it was the day before, was that 4th of July? What was it that fireworks was going off?
It was something, he said he dropped something at your door.
Was it the 1st or 4th of July? Because it was something, it was the 1st. Because it was something to where he wanted to give my son fireworks.
Yes.
Remember? And I was like, well, I don't want him to have fireworks because he was bamming at my door. And I was like, "What do you want?" First he said a different name. And I was like, well, I don't know who that is. So you got the wrong door. Then he said his actual name. And I was like, "Oh, no, you can go. Like, I don't need anything you're trying to give me." And then he was like, "Well, I have fireworks for your son." I said, "No, I don't want him to play with fireworks." He was like, "Open the door. Open the door. I need you to open the door. Let me show you what I'm talking about." And I'm like, "No, I don't want, I'm talking to him to the door. So if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police." That's when I came in here and I unmuted it for you guys to hear. I said, if anything happens, I want you guys to hear what's going on so that there's some type of proof. So I go back up there and I'm like, "Look," I put on speaker. He hears me talking to the cops. He's like, "I don't care. I'm not leaving. Open the door or you come to this window right now." So that's when I shut my blinds like halfway on both sides.
That's what I was going to ask. Was that a separate day when he was banging on the window?
No, same time.
I remember that part.
Because he was at the door. No, but he's done the window thing on another occasion. So you're probably mixing up times. This is multiple times he's came. This is all in the same session of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Was it the day before Christmas or the day before? Was it the 1st of the year?
I think
because it was at the end of the year.
It was the 1st of the year because he had fireworks.
Okay.
But it wasn't 4th of July.
Okay. So okay. And so he's just banging, and he started banging on the window. "Come to the window. I want to see you. Come to the window." And so that's what made me like go to the side. Like, no, you're not gonna. I don't know what his intentions are at this point because he's slurring his words and when I'm looking on my cameras, he's like rocking back and forth. I'm like, I'm not doing none of that. And that's when I was just talking to you guys, like, dude, I need to do something. Job was amazing. She hooked me up with people. I started looking into it. And, you know, thank you guys for all your cash apps. She's an amazing dog. She makes me feel so much more at ease in this house. When she was smaller, it was now anything she's like, oh, she's turning up. She's letting me know what's going on. And I really do thank all of you guys for her. Like, she's awesome. Layla's awesome. So make sure you guys are following her. Please follow her. If you guys want to win any of the raffles, you got to be following her anyways. So make sure you guys are following her on Instagram at I am Layla Ali. Because I'll be starting her YouTube soon. So we'll see. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, someone was telling me to look into this Shaka Amos person. I will do that. Not today. Right now, I'm going to wrap it up. Let me show you some, Jeanette. Look in the private chat. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. I hope I gave you guys enough information. I will still be looking into this case. Until Felicia is found, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to still be looking into any and everything that I can. I really feel like not only does she have a soft spot for me because she's from San Diego, right where I'm from. From my, looking into things, it's from the Chula Vista area, not too far from me. And so I'm going to look into this by any means necessary. Even if I have to travel out to Houston at a certain point, I'm so down to do it. I need her found. I need whoever has done something to her to where she can't even talk right now, even if she's still alive, to pay. I'm done with all this nonsense and this nonsense and this evil energy nowadays. I'm just done with it. So we're going to wrap this up. Love you guys all. Bye-bye.
Bye.